Everyone made fun of me. I was teased every day. I felt like no one liked me. But now, I feel like I belong. I feel more confident. I'm Claire TEASED. Bullied, but not broken.
Tracks out onto the field. The second most accurate field goal kicker in history. 18 seconds to go. Here is the snap. Place down. Booted. It is up and it is good!
Well, Lowery came through. You knew tremendous pressure on that young man. Didn't bother him a bit. Hit the ball perfectly. No question about it. It would have been good from 50 yards.
It is good!
I'm so excited to be interviewing Nick Lowery. Thank you so much for coming. He's played Kansas City Chiefs and he was a place kicker, which I know what kickers do. It's kind of complicated. Were you ever bullied as a child?
You know, I was. It's funny too, the family's name was Gross. And we lived in Bethesda, Maryland, and I was 5 years old, and every day this kid would come by and just annoy me and punch me and kick me, and I didn't know what to do because my parents had never talked to me about that. And so I asked my brother, and this is not what I would advise for everybody, but resilience is also important. Being able to stick up for yourself is also important, not just say, oh, that person said something mean, because life isn't always fair. Life's not fair most of the time. But my brother said to me, next time he does that, punch him in the organs, which he meant the stomach. So I did. With everything I had, the next time around, he came around to do that, and I punched him right in the stomach, and he doubled over and ran away, and he never bothered me again. And you know, it's important to say that we want to give everybody the sense that they're safe. And safety starts with ourselves. As you know, by doing martial arts, you probably feel a little bit more confident now. And Ronda Rousey, I'm sure, feels really confident because she knows she can take care of herself. But on the other hand, you don't want to send the message that the first thing you do is get physical with somebody. We don't want that.
How many injuries did you get during football?
You know, I was a kicker, so I didn't get nailed quite so often, but I broke my ribs a couple times. Eric Bieniemy nailed me one time on a kickoff coverage when I had to hit him, and he hit me about 5 yards in the air, but it allowed us to get to the guy behind him who was covering the ball. Mostly I had repetitive stress issues on my ankle from pivoting and kicking across really hard and torquing on artificial turf. But I took pretty good care of myself, and I played 18 years, so I didn't do too bad.
Nice. And those other injuries are from like?
Well, just injuries like just from kicking and pivoting. I played basketball. One other thing I'd highly recommend, we have all of this professionalization of sports, and it makes people want to feel like they have to commit to one sport really early, and I totally, absolutely disagree with that. I think you should play basketball, volleyball, baseball, track, soccer, and the number one thing out of that is learn to love sports. Learn to love competing, working hard, being a teammate, and then maybe around 10, 11 you start getting a little bit more serious, but even then, when you've, let's say, played soccer, and then you played tennis, you played soccer, and you played basketball, and suddenly you've got lower extremity education and balance, and then upper extremity hitting a tennis ball or a baseball or shooting a basketball. Now you've got more awareness of your body in general. So I played lots of sports. I was varsity baseball. I was varsity baseball in college too. I was a pitcher. I was varsity basketball, varsity soccer, and varsity football. And they all helped me be a better athlete and be more aware of how to learn to focus and work through, just like martial arts, right? It's always about good focus and working through being unbalanced and when it's difficult.
Good answer. Why did you pick football as a sport?
Well, I had a gift. I lived in England when England won the World Cup in soccer, and I was playing soccer back then 10 hours a day. And I would play rugby for my school 1 month a year, and I was taller than the other kids, and they would shriek that this big, tall American could kick much better than them. And so I knew back when I was 9, 10 years old, I was really good for that. And then when I came back to the States when I was in 8th grade, I started to kick, and I had a gift for that. And so what I liked about kicking, like being a pitcher, is that you have to manage your state, your emotional state, to be good, not just your physical state. And that's also true for bullying, that you have to manage yourself, be able to take care of yourself, but also not let every little comment bother you, you know, because you're so comfortable with who you are, you feel good about yourself, and you're able to express your feelings without hurting somebody else, and yet standing up for yourself as well. And that's the tension, having sensitivity and what we call empathy for somebody else, right? So they know that you care about them as much as you care about yourself, but also caring about yourself. That's important too. You don't sacrifice or give up feeling good about who you are. And that's who you are, right?
Yes.
I better not hit you, you're gonna hit me back.
One time when you're in here.
Bullying is no small issue. Kids that are regularly bullied over a period of years have a 750% increase in low mental self-esteem. By the 10th grade, 45% of teens who've been chronically victimized fall into the category of low mental self-esteem. That's compared with 31% of kids who report currently being bullied only, and 12% of those who've been bullied in the past only. Of students who'd never been regularly picked on, only 6% showed low self-esteem. Bullying may have lasting scars on kids, scars for a lifetime.
What advice do you have for bullied and suicidal kids?
You know what? That this too shall pass. That very, very often the person that's bullying you was bullied first. And so they're coming from, I get emotional talking about this, they're coming from a place of great pain. And so to overcome that, they want to make somebody else feel as bad as they do. So being aware of that, just remember, it's probably not at all about you. It's about that other person. And that doesn't make it that much easier maybe in the short term, but over time you'll start going, yeah, I get that. And just remember, the attention you're getting is probably for the opposite reason, that they probably admire something about you too. And there will be an adult. There will be an adult that you can talk to. Hopefully it's your parents, but if not your parents, make it somebody you can trust, that you can tell exactly what's happening so it doesn't remain a secret, because keeping it in makes it even harder. And as soon as you tell somebody that you trust about it, they'll probably tell you, hey, listen, I got your back. And now you feel a little bit better because somebody understands you and wants to protect you too.
I have another question that's like stuck in my head. Even though you're tired from football and baseball and soccer and all of those, do you still like play around and like see if you can take that again?
You know, when I do assemblies, and maybe someday we'll do an assembly together at Shawnee Mission East or at your Indian Hills School, maybe, or Corinth, which I used to live near to. And I often will practice kicking a field goal and kick one into the audience, so I enjoy that. And you know, I also like to draw the interesting analogy of a field goal. So before I kick it, I get somebody in the audience. Let's say I grab you and your sister. And your sister snaps the ball to you. You put the ball down as my holder and I kick it. And I say, you know what? Your sister represents the offensive line that's protecting you, the values you grow up with. And sometimes our parents make us feel great, and sometimes we're not lucky enough to have parents that make us feel great, and we have to just have some perspective on that. That those are the values that we grow up with. However, our holder, which is you, let's say you're holding for me, our holder represents who we choose to have in our lives. And who we choose to surround ourselves with as good friends is really important. People that bring up our energy. You know, sometimes we think when we're being bullied, maybe I need to be more friends with the person that's treating me terribly. And that's not the case. They're not really a friend. And then I say, in the end, as the kicker, you draw a circle around yourself and you say, I'm going to be in charge of one thing. How I feel about myself and how I choose to make choices in my life that make me feel better and everybody around me feel better. Because that's the only thing I can control. And by the way, getting back to your being an awesome martial artist, That's part of martial arts too, is respect for others and respect for ourselves and our ability to make good decisions with poise, with class, and with empathy for others as well as ourselves.
Very good answer.
And I brought this because this is my Hall of Fame poster, and I wanted to give it to you and your wonderful sister. And I wanted to just leave you with this thought that no matter how bad it is, and sometimes it can be really bad, that if you stick with it in 2 years, I've decided it's 2 years, because in 2 years, I went from not making it in the NFL to playing a couple games and being cut, to being cut, to being cut 11 times. And then, right in the stadium, I beat out the greatest kicker in the history of the game, Jan Stenerud, and broke every one of his records. And this is testament to that I broke every one of those records, and I became the most accurate kicker in NFL history because I didn't give up. And so don't give up, believe in yourself, work your tail off, and remember what you focus on and what you devote yourself to is who you're going to be as a human being. So devote yourself to something that makes you feel awesome.
After this, can you sign up for me?
I think I can. For $9.95, but today only $29.95.
Okay.
Just kidding. My name is Nick Lowery, and I support enthusiastically Bullied, Not Broken, and the E3 Scholarship Fund.